Joining me live on the news is the country manager, Disabilities Foundation, Damoye Oshomuji. Thank you so much for joining us, Damoye.
Thank you so much, Rita. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, so Damoye, disabled persons in our society often come across various forms of discrimination. Can you help us highlight some of these?
Disabled people around the world zoning in on Nigeria, in Africa, people face different forms of discriminations in terms of in civil rights, in environmental laws, labor acts, employment acts, and even up until talking about minimum wages. And discrimination is not limited to any gender. So people, women, children, anyone and everyone living with a disability can be easily discriminated upon. And this is what we find in societies right now, especially in Nigeria. This is what we advocate against and speak for, that everyone should have a fair share, none should be discriminated because of their something, especially some people who have disabilities that they did not cause. I mean, any disability, as the word implies, is something that limits you from being able to do something. And nobody genuinely or intentionally does that. It can come in form of accidents or nature or anything like that. So we encourage people to live their lives irrespective of disabilities that they may be faced with.
All right, now some people say misinformation brings about discrimination. Now, talking about the discriminatory elements are not enough. What are the decisive things that African governments need to start doing to eliminate discrimination from society and break the barrier?
Okay, some of the things that we encourage our governance and people in positions of authority, and even everyone generally, is to, first of all, respect each individual, honor everyone's right to be a productive person. Everyone has a right to live a dignified life. Just because I have a disability doesn't mean that I am limited to begging on the streets or have to live a dependent life on other people. I mean, so we encourage the governor, we encourage our laws to encourage everyone to advocate for people to live a dignified life, such as in ways they can do this, they can remove laws that do not protect the rights of people living with disabilities. They can create laws that would empower them. They can make them have a voice. They can encourage their cohorts and different bodies and organizations that they represent or they work with. So those are some of the few ways that government can definitely encourage and really, really speak for people living with disabilities in our society.
And still talking about the different forms of disabilities, we know that another group of persons that are discriminated against are persons living with AIDS. And UNAIDS has been campaigning against this discrimination. How do you think this narrative can change for good?
This will change if everyone or majority of the public is aware about laws that are against discrimination. So if you know that you're going to be fined, if you know that you're going to be penalized for discrimination, then you wouldn't want to file the law. You wouldn't want to do that. So these laws are there. Yes, there is a law that states that if you do something discriminatory against somebody living with AIDS or living with a disability, you will be fined 100,000. In this economy, you won't want to do that. So let's enforce these laws. Let's put them in place and enact them and see that they are effective, as well as raising public awareness, making people aware that someone living with AIDS or living with a disability is not something that they chose. It can be anyone. It can be you. It can be me. So there's no reason why they should be discriminated upon. So raising public awareness is a good way. Also, we should persuade different systems to officially stop discrimination. I mean, it needs to stop. With so much going on, talking about it in different areas and having conversations about stopping discrimination against people living with AIDS or disabilities, I think we would be moving a step closer to forestalling that in future.
All right, Damoye, apart from laws, public awareness and systems, can you share your thoughts on the need for employers to be sensitized on how to relate better with persons living with HIV/AIDS? Because we see people being discriminated from jobs due to their health status.
Yeah, that's so true. You find people revealing at their interviews or at the point of being admitted into offices, employment, and you find out that they have this condition, HIV/AIDS, and they're discriminated upon. So we will say the organization should be sensitive enough to know that it's not something that should stop someone from performing optimally. Having HIV/AIDS should not does not limit you from living your life. They should understand that measures can be put in place to ensure safety and security of such personnel, even within the organization. So if these are put in place and the awareness and helping other people in the office know that these people should not be looked down upon, they should not be discriminated against, then it helps them function better. It helps them be more productive at their different roles. So sensitizing people to see that it's not a death sentence. It's just a condition that can, as most things in life, can be managed.
All right, I know that we are trying to, as much as possible, observe COVID-19 protocols, but are there any activities lined up for today to further push the message of anti-discrimination in the society?
Yes, in commemoration of this day, we have not exactly celebrating it today. For example, Disabilities Foundation, my organization, is organizing something online where we have different people, stakeholders in the disability space, talking about things that shouldn't be said, words, languages that shouldn't be used against people living with disability. So there are some words that you hear in society. You call somebody deaf, you call somebody blind. Those kind of terms and languages would not be encouraged in the society. So we're having that coming up shortly, where we would have different enlightened minds share their own opinions, and even people living with disabilities expressing their thoughts about how people refer to them as with such derogatory terms. So we have that coming up soon, and it's tagged the languages that we should not use for people living with disabilities, languages to discourage for people living with disabilities.
All right, thank you so much, Damoye Oshomoji, for sharing so much insight on this topic.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. And may I use this opportunity to encourage lawmakers and everyone to use their voices to speak for the underrepresented in the process of formulating laws.
All right, thank you.